Okay, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the bear versus man conversation, but this is going to be like the only other time, like the one video that I'm going to be discussing in more depth about this topic. After this, I'm done. Like, I'm getting fed up here. In my opinion, the reason why the bear versus man conversation became a topic on TikTok and social media is just once again a distraction to fuel more man-hating rhetoric, specifically by appealing to predominantly women's trauma and horrific experiences with men in their lives to justify making blanket, hateful generalizations against men in general by, once again, comparing them to wild animals, apex predators, insects, parasites. Like, this concept is not new, but this concept has existed before. Like the whole M&M's analogy that existed way back when. And I also just want to talk about like the specific reasonings and I guess arguments that women have used to justify using the bear, picking the bear over the men on social media. And I'm just going to pick those arguments piece by piece, because it's just one of the biggest arguments that I've seen women use to justify picking the bear is the notion that, well, we can't tell which man is good and which one is dangerous, so therefore we have to treat all men as dangerous. Let me tell you why that's flawed. There's several reasons. One of them is this insinuation that you have very piss-poor judgment of character and the ability to discern who is a safe person and who is not. And that is a very dangerous a dangerous skill to lack. Like, how else do you determine if something is safe or dangerous? Like, how do you process information? You use your senses. You use your eyes. You use your nose. You use your ears. You use your mouth, your hands, all of your senses. You use what you have to gather information. You're not supposed to just magically know if something is good or bad or safe or dangerous. Like, you can't. You can't be mind readers. You can't see to the future. You don't have supernatural powers. You don't need supernatural powers. You just need to be able to have basic discernment skills. What this also tells me is that you have no preventative measures or precautions set up for you to ensure your safety, or that you refuse to develop those types of things, and that you just expect everyone in society to just be your personal bodyguards and protect you from every little thing that comes into your path. And I'm telling you, no, that's not realistic. That's not reality. And before some of you women go around saying like, no, I shouldn't have to do anything to protect myself, everyone else should just not be. No. Like, every single adult, man or woman, are responsible for their own safety and well-being. Us adults, we need to take our precautions and preventive measures for our own safety. That's just how life is. You cannot control what everyone else in your society, in your vicinity, in your neighborhood, just in your sphere does. There's very limited things that you can do. We have the laws. We have police. We have the right to bear arms in America. And we have so much other resources that we can use to either limit people hurting us or control the population to a certain amount. But you cannot, it's not 100%. That's just how it is. We also have to do our part to keep ourselves safe. And in order to keep everyone else safe, the best thing that we can do is not violate other people's right to safety, well-being, and life. That's what we got to do as civilians in every single society on Earth. Although being a good Samaritan is really well encouraged, it's not an entitlement that people around you are supposed to just protect you if you get into a situation with some random rando in the streets. It's ultimately on you to protect yourself. If someone wants to help you, great, but you're not entitled to having someone else help you. Another part of the discourse that I wanted to talk about is the use of statistics when it comes to who is more dangerous, a man or a bear. Well, statistics can't really fully explain, or we cannot actually accurately quantify like which is more dangerous from a statistical point of view because of variety of different factors, such as environments. Bears don't live in human civilizations and vice versa. Population. There are more human beings than there are bears. Individual psychology, human psychology versus bear psychology, like biological differences, like behavioral differences, all of these things. Like, there's no research in that department, but we can confidently say that a human encountering another human, man or woman, doesn't matter here, is way more, not safer, I want to say, you're far more likely to survive if you encounter a human, another human, than to encounter a bear. That I can confidently say in that department. But as to measuring of like who is more inherently dangerous, that's just more of a subjective thing. Like, statistics don't really help much unless we want to talk about the likelihood of being attacked. But even still, you have to take into consideration motives. Like, humans might have more motives than animals, or that human motives are far more, entrenched in socialization. And for animals, it's more, or bears, it's more so just instinctual or survival or safety, whatever. But I feel like statistics are not very helpful in this situation from the angle of who's more safe to be around. But if we want to talk about survival, then yeah, it's more statistics are more helpful in that department. Another rebuttal that I've heard from women is utilizing statistics when it comes to men being stuck in a forest and encountering either another man or a bear. While it is true that men are far more likely to be victims of homicide from other men, like me as a man, I would still pick my chances with another man than a bear, because from a survival standpoint, I have a better chance of surviving from another man, outrunning another man, out hiding another man, outsmarting another man, out climbing another man, outwitting another man, than any of those things with a bear. And that I would say that men would most likely pick men because men are already used to the notion that they're more likely to, again, be victimized by another man. It's just normalized in society. Like, violence against men is normalized in a lot of societies. It's not even just a Western thing. It's like a worldly thing. Like, in the majority of countries, the majority of victims of homicide and violent crimes are men. With the exception of like 9 countries, the majority of countries all over the world, men are predominantly victims of violent crimes as well as perpetrators of violent crime. It's just normalized at this point. So men don't really necessarily fear the presence of another man. They're just used to it because society, especially in a lot of as predominantly Western society, I would say, in my opinion, do not care. They don't care enough about male victims of homicide because it's just so heavily normalized to the point where it's just like, yeah, and it is what it is. So the men being more afraid of being, or the men picking the bear as well, I don't think that holds weight, as much weight as women think it does, because it's evidence. Like, nobody cares. No, not many men care, especially the ones in position of power. The women, obviously, a lot of them also don't seem to care either. It's just so normalized at this point. I know I keep repeating the same point, but yeah, this whole notion that men pick the bear too, no. Like, it doesn't make a difference here. The final remark that I have when it comes to this topic is this rebuttal of just like, these men are never going to understand why we're bringing up this topic, or what's the point of this conversation. Well, a lot of men do understand where this is coming from. Like I said in the beginning, you're just projecting your trauma and your experiences onto random people on the internet, and possibly in real life too, that had nothing to do with your trauma, and trying to make them feel guilty over something that, well, specifically men, like random men around you, you're trying to make them feel guilty over something that one man or a handful of men in your personal lives had done to you. And I'm trying to tell you right there, I'm going to say it right here, that although I can sympathize and empathize with what you have gone through, and that's not your fault for the trauma that you've gone through, it is not an excuse for you to weaponize your trauma to villainize an entire group of people based on that trauma. It's not a fucking excuse. It's not. That's where my empathy cuts down from there. You trying to use your trauma as an excuse to project your feelings and your unresolved emotions and trauma and stress onto random people like that. Because it's not okay. It's toxic. And it's borderline bigotry. Because, and I know a lot of you women are not going to like this argument, but I don't care. I'm going to use it. Anyways, you would not be okay if racist white people were to use that same logic as you, projecting their traumas or their insecurities or things that they've seen on the news towards black people to justify the question that, would you rather be stuck in the woods with a black person or a bear? And then the white person chose the bear because insert 30-50 statistic, 50%, 13% of the population commits 50% of violent crimes. Like, no, you not allow that. Nobody would, because that's just plain bigotry. And you're trying to use statistics to justify that bigotry. No. And that's one thing, too. A lot of you women will use this type of thinking when it comes to men, but you will not apply that to any other group of people. That's how I know you don't actually embody this mentality fully, because you don't apply it to anyone else, but people that you believe deserve this type of treatment. And that's where I cut the line short. It stops there. Okay, so I just went on a massive tangent there, but yeah, that's pretty much most of what I want to say about this whole discussion. And like I said, that's it. I'm not going to make any more videos touching this topic. I'm done. I'm done here. I said up everything that I think I wanted to say. I'm not sure if there's anything else. I can't remember anything else on the top of my head, but that's it. I'm done. Hopefully the trend dies down again, but who's to say that another similar trend is going to just resurface again? Oh well.